Hello and welcome to the Padawan Podcast, the all Star Wars podcast where we geek out on everything from the galaxy far, far away. I'm your host, Jake Berlin, aka Qui-Gon Jake, and I'm joined today by my lone Academy member, Jacob Bartley, aka Grandma Bartley. How's it going, man?
It's going freaking great, man. We might have just watched the best episode of Rebels of all time.
I think so.
I can't think of one that I enjoyed more.
I think so.
So
yeah,
I'm
so
super excited.
Going off that, I mean, this is a special episode of the Padawan today. We just watched the season finale of Rebels Season 2. The Twilight Apprentice Part 1 and Part 2, and we thought we'd delve deep into the episode and, kind of talk about it because, it is a huge episode, and maybe we'll go a little bit into reviewing Season 2 altogether and then jump into what we think the possibilities are for Season 3. So let's start with it. The Twilight of the Apprentice Part 1 and Part 2, we're going to talk about it as one big episode. Let's just get right into it. I mean, it starts off Ahsoka, Kanan, and Ezra, they're going to the Sith Temple. They're going to Malachor, a planet from the Old Republic days. It's basically the home of the Sith. And, we see Maul within the first 10 minutes of the episode. We learn that, it's a Sith Temple. We learn that there are Inquisitors there. Eventually Vader shows up. But, I mean, Jacob, overall, what are some of the things you really loved about the episode? Overall thoughts of it.
Oh, man. I can't think of something I didn't enjoy about this episode. Pretty much the whole strong all the way through, but I got to start with Darth Maul. He is one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars universe. Just from the first movie, the episode 1. I was a young kid when that came out, so I always have a place in my heart for Darth Maul. And it's like I was always upset that he died because he's such a great villain.
I agree.
But then obviously we know he comes back in the Clone Wars. That arc in the Clone Wars is great as well. And then we finally get to see him as old man Darth Maul, but
he's not old
looks
man
pretty
Darth
young
Maul.
though when he fights. So I got to start with there. Just seeing him talk as an old man and be wise, and we've always known this about the Siths, that they have this urge to find their apprentice. Like they always want to have
the rule of two.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have this urge, and we've seen it with everyone. Vader tries to tempt Luke, the Emperor obviously with Anakin. So it's ongoing thing, and we saw it in this episode with Darth Maul and Ezra, and that has to probably be my favorite aspect of the whole episode, is seeing the way Darth Maul, desires to have somebody by his side, and he's still driven by his revenge, and that's consistent with the character in Clone Wars. That's what drove him so much, his revenge for Obi-Wan, his revenge against the Emperor, and we got to see that again. And I know this is a spoilers review. We're going to be talking about some
heavy spoilers,
in detail stuff, so if you don't want to hear, then go watch the episode and come back. But I'm so glad that this wasn't the end of Darth Maul's arc in Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, and we didn't know if we were going to see him at the very end of the episode, but luckily they showed him taking off the ship.
They show him flying off, so that's great.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that when we talk about our expectations for Season 3. So, of course, Darth Maul. Seeing Vader at the end was freaking amazing. We finally got the Ahsoka Vader showdown, which we might see another one, hopefully.
I think so.
And yeah, I mean, overall, this episode was great, and we've been complaining lately about how we've been getting so many filler episodes, especially in this second half of the season.
The last couple weeks.
There's been more filler episodes than not. And I've been telling myself, if they don't capitalize on this season finale, I'm going to be very, very disappointed with the season as a whole. But they killed it. They did everything I wanted. It was absolutely perfect. And, while the season wasn't perfect, they went out with a bang. And it, definitely raised my enjoyment of the whole season overall.
Yeah, I echo everything you said. I mean, the Darth Maul stuff is pretty much the best stuff of the episode. I mean, when we first see him, he's this old man, he doesn't seem like he's the same Maul again. He seems to be befriending Ezra almost as a good guy in the beginning. And then even when he takes off the hood and he starts fighting alongside them against the Inquisitors, there still looks like there's a little bit of good in him, but then he just switches. He changes when he says, "Oh, Ezra's my apprentice," all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I mean, the battle scene where Maul first comes out with the lightsaber.
That was
against
amazing.
The Inquisitors,
Yeah. We both got up on our seats
the
and
three
were
Inquisitors
freaking
show
out.
up, and it's Maul, Ahsoka, and Kanan lined up against them.
So great.
And it's so cool to see. And the episode did a really good job of showcasing how powerful Maul is, because we've always known how powerful he is. and he takes out all 3 Inquisitors by himself.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, so that's definitely one of the best parts. I really love the arc they did with Ezra this episode. I mean, we've kind of been hinting at it, but they hinted at a lot more this episode, like going forward. How he's very tempted. I mean, we've kind of known, but he's very tempted by the dark side, but he's also tempted to be what Kanan wants him to be. And because he always goes back to Kanan says this, and but he's always trying to please someone because maybe it's because his parents aren't around anymore. He's by himself.
Well, yeah, he always questions Kanan.
Yeah.
But then ultimately he always does what Kanan taught him. And most of the time it's good-hearted. So.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously the Vader stuff. That shot of him coming in on the TIE Fighter was so cool.
Epic.
So cool. The Vader Ahsoka stuff was great. I mean, like you said, there's really nothing wrong with this episode. I mean, even the stuff with the Inquisitors, how they freaking helicopter off with their lightsabers. It's like there's something new every episode that we see that's building the Star Wars universe.
Well, we always learn more about what Jedis can do and what Sith can do, and what they can do with their devices and everything.
Yeah, and I mean, let's talk about like a little bit going forward. Like what a couple of the things mean in the episode, and what I wanted to start with is the whole Kanan thing about him becoming possibly blind.
Well, I was gonna say, I loved the episode so much, but I do have a few concerns. I don't know if I like that Kanan is potentially going to be blinded permanently, because I don't know. It's like, yeah, it'll be cool. Maybe his senses are raised. You were saying he's the Daredevil of the Star Wars universe now, but it's going to change the character. He's not going to be able to interact with Ezra and Hera as much as he used to, like the same way he used to. Like he's not going to be able to look at them. So I'm hoping that somehow they find a way to like bring his sight back, even if it's like maybe one eye only works, or his vision's blurry or something like that. Kanan with an eye patch? Yeah, awesome. Maybe they can get one of his eyes to come back. So you never know. They can make it work, but for me, that was one of my concerns. Like, it was cool what it meant. Like, Darth Maul's the one who blinded him. So if that's the case, he's gonna have to live with that forever. That Darth Maul's blinded me. So now Darth Maul has another adversary. Yeah. Along with Obi-Wan, who's still alive. Well, I think. So, but I'm just a little bit concerned about the Kanan being blind thing. But they could do some cool things with it.
And I mean, this all took place in a matter of hours. So as of now, he's blind, but this could not be permanent.
We
could see him in the first episode of season 3. He could have a cool like Cyclops thing where it shades his eyes a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. I'm cool with that.
You can't see bright spots and stuff like that, or something like that.
They really focused on it though. Like they want
like it was gonna be permanent.
Yeah. Like they made it a big deal. Like one of the last shots of the episode is behind Kanan, focusing on the band around his eyes. So I don't know. They're planning on doing something with it. I just don't know if I like it, because it's it changes a person and a character when you do that to them. So Kanan is arguably my favorite, at least hero on this show. So it's just going to change him, but it could be for the better. So we don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting going forward. Any more negatives that you could think of?
Yeah, I mean, not really. Like, they didn't ruin the episode for me, but it was kind of like anticlimactic the way the Ezra and Darth Maul, or the Kanan and Darth Maul fight ended. Like
he just pushed him off the side. Yeah,
and then same thing with
Vader and Ahsoka.
We didn't really see how it ended.
Yeah,
and I always have a problem with in storytelling, especially like with movies and TV. Like, leave it up to the viewer. Like, you just assume what happened, and sometimes it's done well, sometimes it's done bad. I wouldn't say this was done well or bad. I want to see what happens. I want a definitive answer, but I guess we'll get those answers in season 3.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the Vader and Ahsoka one, because I thought we were satisfied with the way the fight happened, because it went on for a while. Like, there's some great stuff between them.
Especially seeing the mask break and seeing his eye.
Yeah, she sliced open the mask.
You could tell that's Anakin. Like,
yeah.
You could.
But I will agree with you on the Kanan Maul one. It was a little short-ended, and I felt like I wanted a little bit more.
Yeah, I knew Maul wasn't dead.
They
would not
definitely
kill Maul that way.
Yeah, I think that.
And we've seen him fall before.
And now, like you said, now Kanan has a reason to kind of exact some revenge towards Maul.
Not only the eye thing, but he came after his apprentice.
Yeah, he went after Ezra.
To steal That's even worse probably than blinding him.
Very true.
And Ezra's not just Kanan's apprentice. That's his family now. That's his brother. So I think for that reason, he'll even hate Maul even more. And it could be a driving force to potentially turn him to the dark side as well.
That's very interesting. I mean, I kind of want to go into the Vader Ahsoka thing for a sec.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for it all season long. It was teased from the very beginning. We all expected that episode 3 would end with their battle. We got to see a fight between them. We got to see the confrontation. And like you said, that scene where she slices open the mask and we see Anakin for the first time in a long time.
Oh, man, that was great.
He kind of opens up for a split second, then he goes back. Just thoughts. I mean, what were your feelings while watching?
I loved watching it. So for me, I haven't watched all of the Clone Wars. So I haven't, gotten to know Ahsoka and Anakin's relationship
you don't have the
as
emotional
you have, but
attachment,
I've still watched a lot of it to get a feel for it, and just knowing how much Anakin, cared about her and stuff. So I have to finish Clone Wars and maybe I'll get a better understanding of it, but I still loved it. And Ahsoka is, I really like her character in Rebels. Like, I remember when I first met the character in that Star Wars animated movie, like, I didn't really like her character. She was like just a little kid, and I don't know, it just didn't fit with the tone of Star Wars for me. But then even later on in Clone Wars, I grew to like her character a lot more, and I love her in Rebels. So I told you earlier, I didn't want her to die, and we kind of, it's very far away and very quick, but you can see she's still alive.
Yes.
She's walking into some dark cave or something like that. So I don't know what that means.
Well, I had said, what if there's a possibility of her being tempted by the dark side? Because right now she's not a Jedi. She lies between.
And she lets us know a bunch of times
she
she's
lies,
not a Jedi.
In a way, she's what's called the gray Jedi, which they balance between the two.
Yeah, maybe her walking into that cave was her going to the dark side. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to see that.
No, me either.
Honestly,
I don't either.
Because, other than her being betrayed and heartbroken by Anakin, what would be her motivation to go to the dark side? Like, what would she accomplish by going to the dark side that she can't accomplish by not going to the dark side? She still probably, maybe wants to kill Vader because, how powerful he is and what he can do to the universe and her friends. But I don't know what her motivation would be to go full dark. Like,
I agree.
Just don't see it.
I think that the possibility of her walking into the cave, like say, and we couldn't tell if she was actually walking into it. She may have been walking towards us.
Yeah.
But maybe she's going in there to learn the knowledge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Because that's what they went there for.
And then she could help her defeat Vader
and
later on.
Ahsoka, for me, she's one of my all-time favorite Star Wars characters. I loved her in the Clone Wars. I love her in Rebels. I actually never watched the animated movie, so I don't think I'm going to.
That's
I've
the first time you ever see her.
Yeah, and I've heard really bad things about the movie.
That
and
movie's
her.
horrible.
So I don't think I'll ever watch that.
Yeah.
But I think the conversation
It's
between
canon,
her,
though.
I know that's true. That's true. But the whole Ahsoka Vader thing, I thought it was a huge payoff, and I loved when they showed up, or when Ahsoka finally showed up, and the conversation between the two, and then we see Anakin for a split second, and just the emotion involved and the heart. You can tell that Ahsoka's heartbroken.
Oh, definitely.
And there's a little bit of you can almost tell there's a little bit of regret by Vader there for a second, but then they just go full board.
Oh yeah.
You can see him go lightsaber battles, all that kind of stuff. It's really cool. So I mean, with all that out of the way, let's jump into it now that we've seen the ending of season 3 or season 2. What do we expect for season 3? I mean, we see Maul fly off in Vader's TIE fighter. Vader's walking out of the Sith temple. Ahsoka seems to be walking inside the Sith temple. Kanan bandage up. Ezra has the holocron, the Sith holocron, and what looks like he opens it, which could be a huge thing going forward. So just, I mean, what do we think with all these characters and where it's going?
Well, we both think that Darth Maul is going to be
I think he's going to be the huge part of season 3,
and I'm very happy about that because after we saw that, mid-season trailer, we thought he was going to be a big part for the rest of season 2, but he wasn't. He was only in this
last
episode. So now knowing that he's still alive and that he could be brought back, I'm fine with the way they did it because we're definitely going to see him in season 3, and he's kind of the X factor of this whole storyline because he's not on the Rebel side, he's not on the Empire side. He's his own. He's on his own side. He only fights for himself, and that's interesting because there's usually only the good side, the bad side, but he's going to fall in the middle. He's adversaries with the Rebels now and with Vader and the Empire. So I'm really excited to see his character arc going forward. And it's crazy. We thought he died in episode 1. And who would have thought that now when it's all said and done, Darth Maul is one of like the most important characters.
He's now been around. He's now been around for 17 years.
Yeah, like and who knows what they're gonna go. We can have him in a live action Obi-Wan movie.
Yep.
We can have him in Rebels. So when it's all said and done, when we look in 30 years, when we look back at Star Wars history, Darth Maul will be up there as far as importance, and you never know where it could go. So I'm really excited about that. I'm curious about Kanan going forward, especially with the blind thing. I'm a little bit concerned, and I'm also curious. I don't know. I wonder if they're gonna just keep teasing us about either Kanan or Ezra going to the dark side, or we're actually gonna see it in Rebels. I don't want the series to end with
one of
them finally turning,
Yeah.
and then we don't get to see it or see what happens to them after they turn. Let's see them turn and then maybe get a full season of one of them on the dark side. And we don't know. They could be one of the characters we see later on in this universe, like in episode 8 or 9 or in an anthology film. So, I just hope they give us some, clear-cut answers to what's going to happen to these characters. And maybe not in season 3, but at least get us going on the route that because this series cannot go on forever. It has to end. It doesn't have to, but the way the characters are and how we know this universe so far, it pretty much has to end before Rogue One or A New Hope.
And it has to end bad.
Exactly.
Because the universe is in a very dark state.
And bad could either be the death of some of these characters or some of them turning to the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm super excited for season 3. I'm probably the happiest that Ahsoka's not dead, because we all thought this was going to be the end of Ahsoka.
Completely agree with you.
And it's not I think that would be a great way for her to go out, because we know how Vader dies. We know the last time we see Vader.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a question. So I'm fine if Vader eventually does kill her. That would be the ultimate sacrifice and the ultimate way for her to go out. But I'm glad it didn't happen yet. So maybe the end of this series that happens.
Well, I agree with you, because I don't think we saw enough of her in season 2. I thought, because she was gone and then she was here and then she was gone.
Yeah, definitely.
And
if
that's
they
what we
talked about
it
last week too.
It would have been underwhelming, because there was not enough of her. And I hope that she's a big part of season 3, just as Maul is.
Yeah.
Because I think Maul, now that, they hint at, a number of Inquisitors, but it seems like the Inquisitors are gone for now, at least. We don't know how many there are, but Maul could kind of replace them and be this other big adversary that
definitely.
the crew has to take on.
Yeah, I think the Inquisitors are an ever-going thing, though.
Yeah, I think so.
They have a whole bunch of Force users in training, and they can always, you kill some Inquisitors and more are going to keep coming. That's what I think the whole thing with the Inquisitors is. But yeah, Maul can replace maybe we don't see that many Inquisitors in season 3.
Yeah, not as much at least.
Maul takes that role,
Because it's interesting, where does Maul go now? Now he's no longer on Malachor. Where is he headed?
Well, he said he wants to, get revenge on all of his enemies. So are Kanan and Ahsoka and Ezra his enemies now? I think a driving force for him is gonna be to find Ezra, because even though Ezra is loyal to Kanan, we saw this connection between Ezra and Maul, and it's undeniable. Ezra, felt connected to Maul in some way, and felt, he even said to Kanan, he's like, Maul understands what I can be and you don't. So that'll be really, interesting to see how that unfolds.
And Ezra has the holocron.
Exactly.
The Sith holocron.
And Darth Maul tells him in this episode, you have to think like a Sith to open it. And the last time we see Ezra, he's opening it.
Well, it's the last shot of the episode. So, it's the slightly open.
Either it's clear cut and they're not playing games with us and Ezra is heading towards the dark side, or they are playing games with us and maybe he doesn't go to the dark side, someone else does.
Well, I know I would want to see Ezra go bad. I think that's where it's going.
You want that to happen?
I would want that to happen. I think that's where the story should go. I think it would make it very interesting, especially for Kanan. But what would you want to see Ezra go bad, or possibly be Maul's apprentice?
I don't necessarily want him to go bad, but it's interesting because does Maul still believe in the Sith? Does he still believe in the rule of 2?
I don't think so, because he had said in the episode, the Sith took everything from me.
So, but you never know. Even in in Clone Wars, he was like, I'm the one, and his brother was the
Well,
two.
he's just a dark force user.
Yeah.
So
But maybe he still believes in that whole World War II thing. So maybe he needs to find his apprentice, which he obviously wants Ezra to be his apprentice, and then maybe his objective is to take out the Emperor. Obviously, that's probably his main objective, and Vader. Because then if he takes them out, him and Ezra can be the two Siths or the two Dark Force users.
And that leads to the potential of a Vader Maul showdown.
I think that's going to happen for sure.
I think so too.
And it's Anakin and Darth Maul from Episode 1.
Yeah,
little Anakin.
It's going to be really fun to see Season 3 for sure. Any last thoughts going forward? We have months till Season 3, but
yeah, I hope they learn from this season.
Fillers.
And, don't put so many filler episodes and, deliver on your promises from the trailers.
Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, Season 2 was 22 episodes.
Yeah.
I think they need to cut back.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
around
fine
8,
with
like
that.
an 18 episode season or 16 or somewhere around there.
Cut back so you can, don't sacrifice the story so you can have more episodes.
Yeah,
I hope they learned from that.
Well, we saw a bunch of episodes that were way too filler, and I think most of that Season 2 or mid-Season 2 trailer was this last episode.
Oh, definitely.
And they teased us for 10 episodes or whatever it was. So.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up our special episode of the Padawan Podcast today. Before we go, I'd like to thank Jacob for joining us today. Where can they find you online, man?
Of course, you can find me online on Twitter at @JacobBarley_, on Apocaflix Movies YouTube channel all the time. Hit subscribe, hit that like button, follow us. We really appreciate it. We got a whole bunch of fun things going on here at Apocaflix Movies.
Yeah, definitely. And you can find me, Jake Berlin, at Twitter, Instagram at QuigonJake. Apocaflixmovies.com every day. Check out everything like Jacob said. We got the Rumor Central podcast, movie reviews, trailer reviews, everything going on here at Apocaflix Movies. Thanks for listening today, and may the Force be with you.